This saber-toothed creature with half reptilian, half mammalian features ruled over much of Pangaea, millions of years before the dinosaurs came to be. With giant fangs and powerful bites, why did these animals disappear so abruptly? These are the Gorgonopsians. Hi, I'm Danielle Dufault, and you're watching Paleologic. Gorgonopsians were some of the most cartoonishly evil-looking genera of animals to ever live. They might have looked like sci-fi monsters, but they were very real, and they were fierce. The Gorgonopsians first appeared about 265 million years ago, in the Permian, a time before the dinosaurs. They evolved from the first proto-mammals to break away from the reptilian family tree. Though to our very mammalian eyes, they pretty much looked like funky lizards. But were they more mammalian or reptilian? Their legs were under their body, like in wolves, rather than to the sides, like in crocs or their ancestors. Their skulls were pretty mammalian, and most species had incisors, canines, and molars like we do. And some species, like the fearsome Inostrancevia, had long limbs, which made them able to gallop. And yet, they still had a lot of non-mammalian features. They had a parietal eye, or third eye, which is a photoreceptive organ that helps cold-blooded animals know the time of day to release hormones that aid in thermoregulation. Being cold-blooded meant that they were less active than mammals. Their brains were more reptilian too, with a larger hindbrain than forebrain. So overall, I'd say they were like if a Komodo dragon and a saber-toothed cat did the fusion dance. All Gorgonopsians had canines that could be replaced a number of times throughout their lives. They used them to stab prey and wait for it to weaken or bleed out before administering the coup de grace. Some of their prey was armored and would fight back, and often this would lead Gorgonopsians to lose their saber teeth. Thankfully, there was a backup dagger on the other side, and the broken one would quickly start growing again. But losing both fangs probably meant death, unless they could find enough carrion while their killing utensils grew back in. To get around the neck of their prey, their jaws were double-jointed, which allowed them to open over 90 degrees without unhinging it. This jaw flexibility was necessary, especially because their necks were relatively stiff and were built more like reptilian necks. They could move well side to side, but had issues moving their head up and down. At the time, there was only one supercontinent, Pangaea, but their fossils have only been found in southern Africa and Russia, though they were pretty far from each other. For a while, there was controversy regarding why there weren't any Gorgons in central Pangaea, but now it seems it was only a question of climate. Central Pangaea, during this time, was mostly deserts on the west side and swamps in the east. Russia and southern Africa were cold steppes, with large grazers supporting large carnivore populations. And just like with bears and crocodilians, different regions gave rise to different species. In Russia, the king of the north was Inostrancevia. This is probably the most famous of all Gorgonopsians. It was about 3.5 meters long, with a skull the size of a bear's. It was also about 300 kilograms, about the same as a grizzly bear. Their canines were about 15 centimeters long, and their limbs were proportionally longer than those of other Gorgonopsians. Of course, everything must come to an end, and in the case of the Gorgonopsians, the ending was painful and abrupt. They went extinct during the Permian-Triassic event. High volcanic activity released lots of greenhouse gases, which caused global warming, acid rain, desertification, forest fires, and possibly a breakdown of the ozone layer. Most of their prey died of starvation, and soon after, the Gorgonopsians disappeared. And then the archosaurs took over as apex predators, starting the age of the dinosaurs.